Shabbat Shalom, brothers and sisters. I'm Moreh Rapha'Yah. We are going to go ahead and start this amazing Torah portion, Wayakhel. Wayakhel is very, very important because here we can actually see how the Creator encodes a lot of things that we can actually see in the surface as a word, but underneath there is so much treasure to be found. Before we start, I'm going to ask you if you have not subscribed to this channel, please do so you can get the latest production. We are constantly making a lot of productions, either classes, Torah classes, either productions and videos, and also the latest is music. The Israeli Nazarene music is there right below. You can press there. The music is available in all platforms that you can think of. Some are in, most of them, in all are in YouTube Music, Apple Music, and also, of course, in Spotify. I do have a lot of music and it's coming out little by little. I don't want to bring the whole thing at one time because that's not really good. So little by little, I'm producing the music. I'm getting the music out, and it's very beautiful music, very kadosh, very set apart music, free of pagan names. Very, when you listen to it, you will transport yourself to the Middle East over there in our forefathers in Israel, because that's the kind of music that is displayed over there. So once again, please check it out. It's right below. Now let's jump into this Torah portion. This Torah portion, Wayakhel, once again, is really, really interesting how the Creator speaks about. And chapter 35, verse 1, all the way to 38, verse 20, 3 chapters, is a cycle of Parashut, or Torah portions 22. Moshe Wayakhel, he congregated all the congregation of the children of Israel and said to them, these are the things that Yahweh has commanded you to do. Question to you, what is it that He has commanded to us? It's pretty much the Torah. The Torah is the 613 mitzvot, commands of Yahweh. Among all this, there is a lot of things that we need to look into it. But what is it that Yahweh commanded the children of Israel to do? Verse 31, verse 13, chapter 31, they tell the children of Israel they should keep my Shabbat, for this is a sign between me and you through your generations, so you might know that I am Yahweh, who make you kadosh, set apart you from myself. Now, why am I bringing this verse? Is because this is part of the Torah portion, and it is very vital for us to acknowledge this day that is a sign, a brand, signal between us and Yahweh. Shabbat is the one that makes us separate from the world and from us to our Creator. Shabbat, it is a sign, a seal that Yahweh says you belong to me. Contrary to popular belief, Sunday is not the day of the Creator, but rather that's what it's called Sunday, because it's the day of the sun. It's not Saturday as well, but let me explain when I say that. It is not Saturday because it's Saturn day, but it's called Shabbat because it's this date of rest. It happens to fall on the seventh day, which is this day, Shabbat, and is set apart to the Creator. We need to acknowledge this day because this one is the mere one of the ways how we can set apart ourselves from the world and get closer to our Creator. Just the pure fact that you are actually keeping Shabbat, you are becoming kadosh, set apart. How do we know that? Is because once you acknowledge that Shabbat is the day of the Creator, you already making that decision to follow our Creator. Now we need to know rules and regulations on Shabbat, but first This word ut is the word aleph, wow, tau. Right in between is the word in blue, the letter wow. In the letter wow, the gematria is number 6. We are encoded in there. Our Creator has encoded us, making a seal in our foreheads. Doesn't it, Scripture talks about the seal in our foreheads and our hands? Speaks about in Revelation. It says, "Do not harm them, those who have the seal of Yahweh." That seal is the Aleph Tau. That seal is the Ut, is the seal of the Mashiach. Now, the word Shamar, I know they means to guard, to keep, to fence, to protect, to preserve also as well. But this word Shamar is the word Shamir. Shamir is the tree. Okay, is the tree that is the shitting wood. The shitting wood is the shamir. Shamir is basically these thorns, the thorns of this tree. Notice that? And what the shepherds used to do, they used to make fences to protect, to guard themselves, to make a protection between them and the predators. And exactly what the Creator wants from all of us, to make fences, hedges from us and the world. And what will be that fence? The Torah. The Torah is making that separation between us and the world. The Torah is making that separation between us and the Creator. Okay? It's separating from the world and getting us closer to the Creator. That's what I meant. But look what it says here, 35 verse 2 of Shemot or Exodus. You should work for 6 days, but the 7th day shall be Kadosh, set apart for you, a complete rest, Shabbat, in honor of Yahweh. Anyone who does any kind of work on it shall be put to death. Should not kindle a fire of any of your homes in Shabbat. Now let me pause here for a moment and let's talk about making fire. Let's talk about making work on Shabbat. And we have to understand the times and the era we are living to. We have to understand the times of our forefathers. Okay? The times of our forefathers are not the same as today as far as making fire. When you make fire, you need to do a lot of work, and let me give you an example. Chapter 15, verse 32 of Numbers, of Bat Midbar, while the children of Israel were in the desert, they found a man gathering firewood on Shabbat. The question is, what was it doing out there, and why was it collecting or gathering firewood? And the answer is very logical answer. He was about to make fire. For what? Could be to make food, to lighten fire, water, or whatever, to make a little coffee there or tea. Who knows? But the point is that he was gathering firewood. Now, you have to understand what that means. What that meant was that man had to go literally outside and gather and make that work. And it's not the same as you and I today when you're making fire. So you have to make a balance of things. We need to make a balance of things in the era that we are living to. We cannot be too extreme and we cannot be too liberal. We have to be a balance in our lives. Mashiach was very opposed of extremists, or those who always wanted to make their own way, but they were getting rid of what the real meaning of the Torah meant. And let me give you an example. Remember when Mashiach was healing people on Shabbat? And he was literally healing people. The Pharisees saw him and says, you're making work on Shabbat. And Mashiach said, don't you have a donkey or a mule or a cow? If he falls into a ditch, wouldn't you carry it out? because life becomes first before the Torah. In other words, yes, they would. Let me give you an example nowadays. If you are in your way to the Kehillah, to the Shabbat, to the temple, to the synagogue, and there, on your way there, you get a flat tire. Would you wait the entire day until the sun sets and you fix that tire? Or will you fix it right away and you'll be on your way to the temple, to the synagogue? Yes, you would fix that tire, because it's not like you wanted to. It's because it was an emergency. Because you needed to go, you're on your way to the synagogue on Shabbat. See, those are logical things that we have to understand. Today, especially on the ultra Orthodox Jewish communities, they don't even dare to turn on the switch of the lights in their houses. They rather go outside and talk to somebody who's not a Jew and let them do themselves that turning of the switch. But they forgot that the Torah says on Shemot, or Exodus 20 verse 7, you should not make any work, you and your servant. That means that you're making the other person to work for you. You're breaking the law, in other words, if that's the level, the degree that you want to take it to. The point is that we cannot be too liberal or we cannot be too extremist. We need to be in the middle. Turning the switch, it doesn't make any work. And let me go a little bit farther. Do you know that the Kohanim, the high priest and the priests, the Levites, do you know that they were making work on Shabbat? The question should we be asking is what kind of work they were doing. See, the Torah speaks about not making any regular secular work. That's the kind of work that in Hebrew is melacha. There are two types of melacha in the Torah. Actually, there is a melacha and there is avodah. Avodah is more spiritual when you do your prayers, right, on Shabbat, on your siddur, your prayer book, and so forth. But the melacha is the physical work. There are two types: the secular melacha work and the community, the things of Yahweh melacha. The priests were doing the melacha, the work for Yahweh, not for the world, not for the secular world. Do you know that they were working on Shabbat by sacrificing? And that sacrifice wasn't something very easy. We needed some work, the physical work I'm talking about. So yes, they were doing physical work. But once again, what kind of work are we doing? If it's for Yahweh or for the world? We need to answer that. Those things that need to be clarified when we talk about working on Shabbat. Now, I'm going to talk about something else, and I'm going to take the next 15 minutes or less to talk about let's switch gears. Look at what chapter 38, verse 23 of Shemot, assisting him was Oholiab, the son of Ahisamach, from the tribe of Dan, who was an engraver, designer, and a weaver in colors. A blue, which is the techelet, the thread of blue, purple, and a scarlet, and a fine linen. We are going to see three things, or maybe four things. Chapter 35, verse 25, the same thing. And all the women who were skilled in spinning got to work and brought what they have spun, the techelet, which is the blue thread, purple, and scarlet, and the fine linen. Once again, all these three things were vital in order for them to make certain things for the Mishkan, the tent of the meeting. And that was the carpet, things that were going on top, the things that were going inside the veils, and also for the vestment of the high priest. All these colors were in it. And not only that, when the Kohen HaGadol was inside, you needed to be presentable, to be like, when you see him, it's like, wow, he looks really amazing. All these colors made such a vivid example of how Yahweh is great. And not only that, let me stop here before we go to the first one, the Techelet. Let's talk about a little bit about the linen, the fine linen. Do you know that today the Torah it transcends through eras, through time? Do you know that in the Torah it speaks about the fine linen, that we should not mix fine linen or linen and other like corduroy or so forth? Why? Because it make like a friction. You need to combine them either with cotton and fine linen, or fine linen or cotton by itself. But if you don't do it, or you just wear the linen, the polyester and other things, it brings the level of heel in your body down. Do you know that even though today in hospitals they use fine linen for their patients, and the reason for it is because the linen makes this level of power of healing in your body. Wonder why the Torah speaks that we should wear linen or cotton or wool in our bodies, because this will make us to heal our bodies. But when we use the other kind of linen, like polyester and all the things that are not good, it levels your body. No wonder why sometimes we feel so down, because it's the vestments and the things that we wear. This has a lot to do in other things. In another time, I will bring this about, and you'll be amazed how knowledge we can obtain by utilizing this kind of knowledge. Now let's jump into the Techelet. The Techelet is the gland of mollusk, the Hexaplex trunculus, found in Mediterranean Sea, were used to produce the purple-blue dye, sometimes like indigo. Now, all this has a lot to do with how you and I look into this mollusk, okay? And this is like a little shell that disappear, these three kinds, but we are going to look at the Techelet. This Techelet, the dye that is found from this shell, from this little animal in the sea, disappeared about 2,000 years ago. When it disappeared 2,000 years ago, it resurfaced or appeared miraculously in 1998, exactly when the prophecy of the Northern Kingdom began. It's not coincidentally, but rather prophetically, that all these things are happening now. This Techelet, once again, is something that we need to take in consideration, and I'm going to show you. I have one right here. This Techelet is the blue cord that I purchased in Israel. This Techelet and these tzitzits, and this Techelet, those two things are the ones that we need to wear with our tzitzits, our tassels. Now, and the Techelet is not really cheap. It's actually a little bit pricey, but it's worth it. Okay, it's worth it that we need to wear, because it's a command from Yahweh to us. Now let's find out. Let's find out that this Techelet, this dye, how it's produced today. This little animal is amazing how this dye becomes a blue. And it's amazing that in the very beginning, you notice the purple, okay? There's something that it makes this change. Let me elaborate a little bit more. This dye, this secretion from this little shell, from this little animal, when you get it out, you put it into a container with water and other solutions, and you expose it inside the room, it becomes almost like a purple. This one right here, it becomes almost like a purple. But if you expose it outside, expose it to the sun, the more you dip it, either the garments or the tassels, right? The tzitzits, the more you dip them, the more they turn into blue. You notice that there is a process how this is made. Our forefathers knew this. Our forefathers knew how this worked on dyeing textiles and linens and so forth. So this is not something that they made out of nothing. They knew they were experts on these kinds of things. We need to understand that. Malachi 4 verse 2, but you who fear my name, say Yahweh, the Son of Righteousness shall rise healing in his wings. Now, this very verse is very understandable, but we need to break it down. The Son of Righteousness, the word for son in Hebrew is Shemesh. Okay? Shemesh is for son, but Shamash, without the vowels, is a servant. So either or is pointing at the Mashiach. The Mashiach is the one that will bring healing on the wings. Where is the wings? The wings is kanap, which is the word for the corners of the garments of talit. The talit usually on the corners brings the tassels, the tzitzits. Do you notice that? All this is very vital because if we expose it outside to the sun, do you notice that? To the sun, healing will come about. So it's amazing how the Creator works in mysterious ways, especially in the Torah. Let's go with the next one, with the purple. Argaman. To produce this purple-red color, the glands of another mollusk, the Bilonus brandaris, which is also found in the Mediterranean Sea, were used. It was extremely expensive, and 1,600 snails were needed to produce just 1 gram of the dye. For this reason, purple color textiles were exclusive and were used by royalties, politicians, leaders, and cult statues. That's one of the reasons why this is, when you watch movies and you see the purple wear by very important people, it was taken from this little snail. So once again, all this is amazing how our forefathers knew how to dye and take this little animal, the mollusk, and make the dye. That is amazing how these colors are so beautiful. So beautiful indeed. No wonder why back in the day, in the ancient times, the people who were experts on dyeing, this was a process of making this happen. No wonder why this was very expensive. No wonder why royalties and leaders will use this kind of color to present themselves as royalties. Let's go into the next one, the Tola Ashani. The Tola Ashani are 2 compound words. The crimson dye, which is shani, was produced by the female Kermes insect. Implied in Exodus 28 as the combination of the worm tolat. Tolat is the worm, and crimson is the shani, which is the dye. Often appears together as a scarlet worm. It is often translated as a scarlet or crimson thread, which is the textile that was dyed this color, and which was also used by the culture statues. Do you notice that? No wonder why, once again, you see this in movies. No wonder why this is the Torah and the other cultures and writings, they show this about. Now this is the little worm, and is attached to the trunk of the tree or branches, and when it's attached to it, it makes like a hardened shell. After 3 days, it falls into the ground, and it becomes white as snow. Does it know that? Do you remind of something familiar? After 3 days become white as snow. After 3 days. And when you squeeze it with your hands, becomes almost like a red. It's like blood, in other words. Now, Isaiah 1:18 says the same thing. And now comes, says Yahweh, let us reason this together. Though your sins are like scarlet, I will make them white like a snow. Notice that? Though they were red like crimson, they should be warm as wool. Yahweh wants for us to make this happen. Just as well, the world of insects, the world outside of nature, is yielding and alluding a lot of things on the Torah, ultimately is pointing our Mashiach. So we need to understand all these concepts that we are learning little by little. I'm Moreh Rapha'Yah. We'll see you next time. Shabbat Shalom. Please subscribe if you have not done so, and we'll see you next time.
In production, please subscribe to our channel and give us a like. Thank you. We'll begin.
Toda Rabba. If you like this video, please give us a like and subscribe to our channel. There's more content in production. Thank you.